It's Monday, which means it's Recovery Monday, and I want to ask you a tough question. Are you or someone you know enabling someone to be involved in an addiction? That's today.
Let's get it started. Ha! Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Ha! Let's get it started in here.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome. It's a little bit after 3 o'clock on this 15th day of October in the Lord's year 2012. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is the Monday edition, which means it's Recovery Monday here on The View from a Pew. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat. Did you enjoy your Friday off? We had Friday off last Friday.
Yeah, I did. I was waiting to testify, and they never called me.
They never called you?
Never called me to do it, and I waited.
What were you going to testify on?
Oh, an alcohol case. Blood alcohol.
Okay.
Yep, never.
And, of course, Father Tattoo back from where? Orlando?
Yeah, Orlando.
You and our other producer, Ryan, went down there.
Yep.
And you met some pretty hot dog people.
Yeah, we interviewed Ken Ham. We got to hang out with Mark Spence and, of course, Saiton Brugenkate and Corey McKenna over there from Canada. Couple guys from Canada. They were a lot of fun. Went out street preaching and listened to some awesome. We saw Carl Kirby. It's another big guy. Yeah, it was a fun deal.
And you're going to include some footage in your Thursday night show, A Rebel's Cause?
I don't know if it'll be done this Thursday. I mean, we have hours and hours of footage we got to go through. So within the next month, we'll have a cool video up about it. Would
it be something that we could just dump onto a website for raw?
Maybe.
You know, where you just, here's the unedited, I
don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Anyway, and of course, it's Recovery Monday, so that's Joe Mintz in the studio from St. Gregory's Recovery Center and Retreat Center here in Central Iowa. Joe, nice to have you back after a couple weeks off.
Good to see you, Mac.
Nice to see you. I don't know if you noticed the background behind me, but Junior over here has, because he refuses to vote for Romney or Obama, he's going to write McCoy in, and my vice presidential candidate is Tom Coates.
Now, do we have a daily tracking poll up on the website so we can see real-time polling analysis how you're standing?
Let me look at that for just a second. Yeah. Hold on. Go to, let me see, Gallup. We'll go to Gallup. They're the big ones.
Yeah.
Romney, 54%. Obama, 45%. And McCoy with 1 vote.
Yeah.
Now go to Rasmussen.
I was going to say, I got to believe Rasmussen's got you up better. They're a little bit more accurate. They're at least doing the cell phone user polls.
That's right. So Rasmussen's got Romney at 55 and Obama at 44.99999, and McCoy's got 1 vote.
See, you're hanging in there.
I'm hanging in there. I'm consistent between 2 polls.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Now, as my campaign manager, when do my commercials start?
I got to work on them. We got to get some pictures of you here in the next day or two. We're going to do your attack ads.
Attack ads. You know, if anything, you got to have fun, right?
Boy, you got that right.
And I'm enabling him to do this.
Well, you know, I mean, maybe it's supporting. You know, there's a difference.
No, I'm really enabling.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to help, but
no, I'm not supporting. He and I have an agreement that we got 2 rules around this place: no swearing and no hate speech.
Yeah.
And beyond that control room is his. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever have I in over a year. So anyway, Joe Mintz is in from St. Gregory's Retreat Center, and we're going to have we started out fun, but we're going to have a tough conversation. Because one of the main reasons, and Joe, you jump in here and add statistics or tell me if I'm wrong, but I've always believed that one of the main second-tier reasons somebody is caught in an addiction It's because the one they love the most enables them to do it.
Yeah.
True statement, a little bit off?
I do think it's a true statement. There's other dynamics at play at the same hand. It really comes down to what people have to recognize is that if you're in a direct relationship with someone who's struggling with an addiction, then you do have a role to play as far as whether or not that person is moving toward getting help or away from getting help. It's just like everything else. I'm a pretty firm believer that nobody's just static or the same. You're going in one way or the other.
Even the tortoise moves at some pace.
Right. And that's a scary thing to think about, but it's also a very empowering thing to think about when you consider that, look, there are things that I personally, as someone who is involved in this person's life, there's things that I can do that are helpful. And a lot of times, people have this misconception that means, or that says if I'm helpful, then that means ultimately this person went to treatment. That's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, right.
And one of the big things that is always stressed in an intervention format, especially that family planning period, is if you're going to help, you have to actually help. But help can't hurt. What that basically means is a lot of people think, well, I'm doing this because I'm helping them. Well, if you really look at the consequences of the help that you're providing, if it's causing harm, guess what? You're not helping, you're hurting. Yeah. And that's really the line to look at. Is your help hurting or helping?
I have a definition here.
Of?
Enabler.
Okay, go ahead.
One that enables another to achieve an end, especially one who enables another to persist in self-destructive behavior, as substance abuse, by providing excuses or by making it possible to avoid the consequences of such behavior.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I don't want to talk just about an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction or a pain prescription medicine or prescription medicine addictions. I want to talk about mental illness and mental disorders. And especially when it comes to our, how do I say this? Our larger people. And I'm one of those people. I've discovered here in the last 6 months that I've gained way too much weight. And when my wife brings home food that I would normally not eat, and she's enabling me, and so I'm fat because of her. Right?
I'm going to have an issue with that one.
She made me eat it.
I know. I know she did.
She warmed it up. She put salt and pepper on it.
Yeah.
She whiffed it under my nose.
I know.
Mac, I can't let you run down CJ like that. She's a lovely lady, and she puts up with you, and we appreciate that because nobody else is going to do this.
I'd say fair trade.
Yeah, I think you should just...
Fair trade. Well, I just don't want to... I don't want somebody to turn off the radio and say, well, there's no drug or alcohol problem in my family, so I don't... This doesn't apply to me. It applies to enabling your children not to get the best grades they can get. It involves enabling someone in your family that has a mental disorder, something that they're not dealing with. You might be enabling someone, as I just spoke of, to not be in control of their weight. That's the biggest thing right there. The kid whines and hollers and screams and yells and has a tantrum because he wants McDonald's chicken nuggets. I know as a parent and grandparent, it's a lot easier to go to McDonald's and give them the chicken McNuggets so they'll shut up. But that's not the best thing we can do for them. Just as the alcoholic or the drug addict or the prescription drug addict does not, what they'll do is they'll push and 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 they'll push you. You know the kind. You've got them in your family. You've got them in your office. Maybe you're married to one. Maybe you have a sibling. Maybe you have a child, a parent. They are relentless. If you look up relentless in the Funk and Wagnall, there is their black and white picture. Because they know your button. They know you will give up. They know at some point they will hound you to the point where you'll say, fine, I don't care. I don't care if you're obese or overweight or a drug addict or an alcoholic. Here's $20. Go get yourself a cheap bottle of vodka and leave me alone. Here's $20. Go to the Pizza Ranch buffet and just eat, neat. And then don't complain to me when your clothes don't fit. So sometimes enabling is really about love. How do you push your kid out to be homeless? How do you not push your kid, or how do you not buy your kid a bottle of vodka when he's going through terrible withdrawals? Joe, you've seen this from people.
Yep.
Well, they can't win, right? You can't say are they wrong or right, because they can't win.
In a sense, they can't win. I'll tell you this: there is no more difficult spot for a family member to be in. What does it look like to actually be the person that steps out first and confronts this thing? But you have to recognize that somebody who's struggling with an addiction or anything really, all of us have difficulty in change and in really confronting destructive habits and things like that about our lives. It's who we are. What you really have to pay attention to is this person actually, first of all, is it realistic that they're just going to wake up and all of a sudden have found this strength to confront their life, which is not very realistic.
Right.
Secondly, are they even able? In a lot of cases, they are not. And that's a perception issue. We learn how to behave in our daily lives. We learn how to, walk our walk. And, anybody that's turned to Christ knows it's a process to learn to walk that walk. Mm-hmm. Anyone that has gotten married knows it's a process to learn how to walk that walk.
Amen.
I mean, everything in life, we go through a process to learn how to be in the dynamics that we find ourselves. Same with addiction. And over time, once we've learned well enough, and it's proven to work better than anything else that we're aware of enough, it makes it extremely difficult to even see the ramifications that your actions are causing. And so a lot of times, it really, you do have to pay attention to the notion that, look, this person may not be entirely capable of really recognizing where they even are. It then is beholden on others to really step up and help them. So it's a very difficult spot, I understand, but there are things that we can do.
Not recognize. Joe Mines is here from St. Gregory's Retreat Center. They're a wonderful facility, and you should, if you have someone in your life who is suffering from an alcohol or a drug or a prescription drug addiction, you should call their counselors and just talk to them and find out what is possible for that family member. Give me a number. I don't have it off the top of my head.
You can always reach someone at 888-778-5833.
All right. And if you put that at the bottom of the screen, Father Tattoo, so we've got that, 1-888-778-5833. What do we call that? I don't want to call it the hotline. What do you call that?
It's the best number to reach us.
Okay, just the way to reach St. Gregory's.
You bet.
You were talking about how they don't want to know that they have an issue, that you can't say anything to them to make them recognize they have an issue. I can't speak for anybody else but for myself. I knew. Okay, I was in denial, and that's not a river in Egypt. When it was just me and my God, all by ourselves, in the bed, in the morning, saying my prayers, and asking him to give me the strength to go through another day, to bring people in front of me, to help them, to bring them to the Lord, the Great Commission, Matthew, that's what I want to do. Somehow, some way, he'd remind me that I'm not taking care of my temple as well as I should. And so I don't know, what do you do, Joe? Do you look at somebody like that and say, you do too know you have a problem, you can't fool me?
No, and also what I mean is, what I don't mean is that someone doesn't know that they have a problem. They certainly do know. What they don't know and what they're not able to do or see is what to do about it.
Right.
And that's when it's really beholden on the people who are able to really clearly think about what is the most appropriate action. But when it really comes down to it, when you've got someone who's right in the middle of all this struggle, there's a couple of key phrases I want to talk about after the break, and it's really what everything hinges on.
Okay, 1-855-244-0077. If you've got somebody in your family struggling, call us up. We'll talk to you about it. You don't need to be identified. It may be just something you just want to get off your chest and just maybe get an idea of what you should do next. 1-855-244-0077. That's the hotline here. Father Tattoo will pick up the phone because it's your voice we want to hear. Live here on The View from a Pew on KTIA, Iowa.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I am Administrative Manager
I am the Senior Technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seemed like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Have you ever been told you're not a good enough Christian? Well, we have too. Join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. Now here's your host, president of the Not a Good Enough Christian Club, J. Michael McCoy.
3:21 on the 15th day of October in the Lord's year 2012. I'm J. Michael McCoy. The little McCoy Coats for President there is only for those of you that were going to vote for Obama. We're now giving you a clear choice of that snagglepuss Mr. Romney, and if Obama is absolutely unpalatable to you, we want you to vote for Romney. If for some reason you can't vote for either one, then go ahead and vote for McCoy and Coates. We would prefer to get no votes unless you're going to vote for Obama, and then we want all the votes. And we have a new Rasmussen poll in. We had one at 3. This is the updated one. Romney now up to 57%. Obama down to 42.999. And oh my gosh, McCoy has 2 votes.
Wow.
2 votes. Did you vote twice? Are you from Chicago?
No, sir.
Okay.
I think he voted absentee and then
again.
Right.
Yeah, typical liberal over here. That's what they do.
Oh, yeah, I'm a raging liberal.
Joe Mites from St. Gregory's Retreat Center. He's a recovery and intervention specialist. He's in our studio today along with Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, and Father Tattoo, our raging liberal. And we've been talking about enabling. You'll find that most of the shows that we do on recovery, we're not talking to the drunks. We're not talking to the drug addicts. We're not talking to the people that are stealing the prescription pills out of your medicine cabinet. We're not talking about those with mental disorders. We're talking to you because you are the victim. you have fallen in love with, you have given birth to, you have married, you have a parent, you have a neighbor, you have somebody that you work with, and you clearly identify the issues much greater than they could ever identify them. So we're trying to give you ways to deal with it because we know the pain that you're in. You're called an enabler. And I know you don't like that term. Please, I'm sorry, but that's what you are. You know there's a problem, but yet you haven't done anything to stop it yet. Is it your job to stop it? No. But if you're not doing anything to stop it, then you're enabling it for it to happen. I'm sorry. I know that's tough, but that's just the way it is. Now, there are some key phrases that you can use, and we want you to write some of these down because they will help you. And, Joe, what are those key phrases?
Well, Mac, the first one I'm going to borrow from your camp. Okay. Which comes from the rooms. And if you're not real familiar with recovery, I'm talking about AA meetings, NA meetings, Al-Anon especially, you bet. But the most important thing to keep in mind right up front is don't cheat someone out of their pain. That's one of the most important things I could ever say. If we don't have something that's really catapulting change in our lives or driving some change in our lives, then we're not going to change. Things are fine. In fact, I was talking to you. You were talking about you're getting back to the gym and things are, you're making some changes there. And I said to you, I'm just not very good at changing until I've got some sort of ramification that tells me it's time for me to change. I'm not going to do it on my own. I know that. I know it's kind of a cop-out and excuse, but chances are I'm not going to hit the gym on my own until I need to.
You're also like a $135 wet.
Right, that's right. So you know what?
I weigh twice what you do, and you can still take me. That's the sad part.
Well, it comes down, that's the problem for me is I can't see anything wrong.
Right.
I feel fine. I'm probably not, but I have a feeling for me to really take it seriously and really enact and implement some changes in my life, there's going to have to be a ramification that comes first. Either it's going to be how I look or a doctor says, look, you got a serious problem or something.
So
that's
don't cheat someone out of their pain. But talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old. What does that mean?
Well, right now, I don't have any problems with how I feel or, how I look or whatever that's really putting me into the mindset of going to the gym.
Okay.
Now, all of a sudden, let's say I go in for a physical, and some of the news there is pretty drastic, and any ordinary physician would say, you've got some real problems coming up. These tests don't look good. You need to make some changes. Well, if that physician decides to sugarcoat that news, chances are I'm not going to make any changes. If he feels, oh my gosh, this could really be shocking, this could really make him upset, and so he doesn't give me all the bad stuff. Well, that's really kind of contributing, and it's cheating me out of some of that pain that I would need to really make that change.
Okay.
Now, an alcoholic or a drug addict, especially your kid or your spouse, the more that you're covering up for them, because that's what happens. I mean, if you're in that situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're covering up. People ask, hey, how's he doing? Oh, he's doing great. He's doing great. You're making excuses for him to his boss or anything like that. That's cheating someone out of their pain. If they've got a choice,
this is pain they deserve to have.
Yeah, when you
they've earned it.
When you choose an action, there's a reaction. There's a consequence. Yeah. If you're taking those consequences away from being a direct effect on that person, you're cheating them out of some of the most important data that they would use to make changes in their life. Sure. And that's a big one. And it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to let someone experience some of the pain that they're bringing on themselves. It's not easy to watch. It really is something that you're going to need some help with.
Okay, but in the role play, you don't cheat me out of my pain, and you tell me what I don't want to hear, and now I push you away.
Mm-hmm. That happens.
That's what every parent fears.
That happens. Let me put it to you this way.
But we still don't cheat them out of their pain.
You don't cheat them out of their pain. I've seen it end badly in two different ways. A lot of people don't like when I really talk about what can ultimately happen from an addiction. But we are talking about something incredibly serious. We're talking about something that takes lives on a regular daily basis.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of times that I've spoken with families who have lost a family member to addiction. And it's one circumstance when you're looking at that and saying, look, we've done everything that we could. Everybody did everything they could. He just refused to, let us help him, went down that path. And that's hard enough in and of itself. It is an entirely different scenario when someone says, you know what, I really never did do anything. I let this continue for a long time.
I didn't say anything. I kept my nose out of it. I didn't want to push him away.
That's a really difficult thing. And, again, there's really no happy news there. And I don't want people to look at this as doing this selfishly or anything like that. The point of, not cheating someone out of their pain isn't so you can say, well, I did everything I could. People will use that. And sometimes people do, really go out and look for treatment options for someone so they can say that because they don't think it's going to work. Luckily enough, there's a lot of good options and they're proven wrong because a lot of times treatment does work. But the big issue as far as that goes is make sure that someone's able to be aware of all of the consequences. Don't hide those consequences from them. One of those is where are they living? Who's paying their bills? How are they eating? Where's all these luxury and benefits coming from of being able to not do anything? That's a big one. And that's usually something that needs to be addressed if it's been let go for a long time in an arena of counseling or intervention.
But mom or dad says, but if I kick them out, all I'm doing is driving them to the street and to the people that will enable him even more and feed him these drugs and alcohol.
2 great points on that. First of all, people also have a misconception of tough love. They think tough love is just all of a sudden, waking up and confronting the thing, and they go to Junior and say, look, you're out on the street, you're out. Well, don't do that because that really is making a pretty poor play. What you do want to do is recognize, look, this person needs some help, recognizing what is the most appropriate options for them. That's where an intervention comes into play. Make sure that you've given someone a real choice that they can understand as far as, look, here's what we're willing to help you with. This is what you have to share with us. It's not a one-way street. If we're going to help you pay for rent, if we're going to help you pay for school, whatever, you're going to help us and be an equally contributing member of our family, and you're going to get some help for this addiction.
Now, when you say interventionist, can that be done by a family member, a friend of a family?
It can. I usually caution it just because when you're in the middle of something, it's very difficult to remove yourself entirely emotionally.
Sure.
And you're almost just as susceptible to negotiating and compromise on the wrong things as anyone else. I would almost always recommend having an outside party who's trained really come in and help you with that.
Yeah, and most of the time, I'm going to make a broad statement here, but I would say, here, let me ask you the question. I would imagine most of the time a pastor is not equipped to be an interventionist.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
frankly, I would usually say I'd be a lot more comfortable having a pastor than just about any other area in life anymore. I think we've drifted far enough away from understanding the role that our faith and that faith community plays, and how do we really manage and discern appropriateness in our lives. So I would definitely say, hey. If you've got a pastor who's got any experience whatsoever, I'll never have a problem with that, especially because that's someone who's going to come at this from the proper dynamic of, where's God in your heart?
Well, and the other thing I would guess, if a pastor worth his or her salt, would know that if they're not qualified, the family has reached out to them, and now they have an opportunity to go find someone who is qualified.
Yep, I know.
It's got to be somebody in a parish, in a...
Yeah, I know when I was actively working as an interventionist, more often than not, that family's pastor would be involved in the intervention. Okay. So, that's a tough one for me to ever say, no, leave that one out.
Okay, well, I just know that I just know that my experience in life has been there are some great preachers, and sometimes they don't make very good pastors. And there are some great shepherds who don't know how to come alongside real trouble. Real trouble. They know how to do the surface stuff. And the last thing you'd want to do is well, as a pastor, you wouldn't want to fail that.
Well, and I think you really hit the nail on the head. A pastor worth his salt is going to understand their inherent qualifications as far as where do they best fit in. But, like I hit on earlier, when it comes to actually enacting some of these issues, you're going to need some help. I can't recommend stronger. Speak to people at your church as far as who do I lean on, as far as this is going to be difficult for me as a loved one to walk through this with the struggling addict. I'm going to need somebody to lean on myself, and make sure that you've got that.
And I should probably know the answer to this question, but if somebody calls the St. Gregory's folks, they would know how to do this, right?
Yep.
That's not just to drop them off at the front door between 9 and 9:15.
Nope, certainly isn't.
Okay, so there's an answer to if you're looking for someone to step in the midst of a loved one or someone you care about, and they're trapped in addiction, and you got to get them out. If you can't get them out, find somebody who can. Find somebody who's brave enough. That might be a pastor. That might be a coworker. That might be I don't know. It's probably not somebody who's right next door, though. All right, we're talking about key phrases of what that someone can say to someone who is gripped by addiction. And what we're trying to do here is give you some tools. Trying to give you some tools that would only come from an expert like Joe Mines, who's a recovery specialist and former interventionist, to tell you how to do that with love in the name of Jesus. We'll work on that when we come back. Second key phrase, live here on WebcastOneLive.com. Also 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
The only way we come to know the Saviorship of Jesus Christ is by bowing and acknowledging that He is Lord and King over all the earth.
Jesus Christ died on a cross, paid the penalty for our sin, and by repenting of our sin and accepting Him by faith, what He did for us, we are forgiven.
Salvation is not a combination of faith and works. Salvation is by faith alone in God.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
if you sit in the back pew or the front pew. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
3:38, 22 before the top of the Salem Radio Network news. And then, of course, Pastor Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church at about 80th and Hickman in Des Moines with his daily radio program called True Blue. And they are talking about how do you vote? As a Christian, how do you vote? Now, a couple of days ago, we had a show that a friend of mine and a listener of mine by the name of Roger Wrench took great, he didn't like it, and wrote me a really nice letter. And so I invited him to come on the show tomorrow and discuss some of these items. And so I'm going to want your patience tomorrow because we're going to have somebody just like you. You know, they're not an expert at talking on the radio, but they have a passion, and his message is important to hear. And it's one that I think that probably, Father Tattoo, you and Roger will be on the same boat on this thing. So I'll probably be out there all alone because you're not here tomorrow, right?
That's correct. I have to teach at the Law Enforcement Academy.
So that's what's coming.
Oh, darn. You'll feel how I feel when you and Tom Coates gang up on me.
That's what's coming up tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, House District 30 debate between Mr. Carley and Mr. Riding. They're running for Kim Pearson's old seat that she is stepping aside. Then we've got some other folks from the Tea Party coming in on Thursday with Tom Coates. And then on Friday, the 3rd, we're going to get away from the political talk a little bit and talk about, I guess it's really the same thing. We're going to talk about politics, and then we're going to talk about abuse. And it's probably just about the same thing, only we're going to talk about abuse of individual human beings and how we can help stop that.
You said Friday. What was the date?
Friday the 19th.
Okay.
Is Amy.
All right.
Yep. All right. So that's a little bit of the schedule for the next week. Joe Meintz is in today. He's a recovery and interventionist specialist at St. Gregory's Retreat Center here in central Iowa. The number to call St. Gregory's direct is on the screen. And for those of you not watching on the web, it is 1-888-778-5833. 1-888-778-5833. And all you have to do is reach out and say, my husband, my wife, my sibling, my son, my daughter, my dad, my mom needs help, and I don't know what to do. And that's all they need to hear, because they know how to take it from there. They are wonderful people who specialize in bringing people back to sobriety, giving them back their lives, and it's a Christ-centered treatment. So you never have to worry that Jesus isn't going to be right alongside with them. All right, Joe, we're talking about key phrases. The first one was, don't cheat someone out of their pain. In other words, if I'm a doctor and I know that my patient is in bad shape, I shouldn't say, well, you're okay. I mean, one of these days you probably need to pop off a couple pounds, but, try to do something to lower the blood pressure. The doctor should say, listen, you're going to blow up.
Yep.
I've given you all the medication I can for blood pressure. Nothing else is going to work.
Yep.
I'm just going to read about you in the paper.
Yep.
You're going to be perfectly fine 1 minute, and the next minute you're going to be dead.
Yep.
Don't cheat someone out of their pain.
That's right.
How do you do that with someone who's got an alcohol problem?
Well, the biggest things is really taking a look at what role are you playing in their life. When it comes to addiction, people they start prioritizing their relationships. And, a lot of families will say, well, I haven't seen or heard from him in weeks. And that's because all of a sudden you've become no use to them, first of all, and you make them feel bad, second of all. I don't mean that you put them down or anything like that.
Right.
What I do mean is that you're someone who is walking that moral and ethical and hopefully Christ-centered path. When they're around you, that it kind of shines this big light at them saying, well, I don't. I'm really falling short. It makes someone very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For lack of a in a better term, I use a total crass one. Everybody's heard the saying, sweating like a whore in church. Well, I mean, same thing. If somebody knows that they're not, up to par with where they ought be, and they understand that where they ought be line, it feels really, really bad to be around people who are not, we'll say, misbehaving to the same level. It just makes them very uncomfortable. So they're not going to be around. But a big issue to really take a look at is, what role are you playing in that person's life? And the second phrase to really take a look at, and this one I'm afraid, really challenges us all the time, but it really comes down to your daily walk and the way you live your life is either enabling or inspiring someone.
I like that.
You usually don't even know it. Most of the huge things that happen in people's lives are inspired by someone that didn't even know it was occurring. A great example I took, you guys may be familiar with this. I know in our satellite church over in Ankeny, we took some of the courses in the men's fraternity series. And one of them was the quest for authentic manhood. And it was just kind of taking inventory of all of the things that had shaped you and formed you up to this point in life. And
it's a great program.
It was terrific. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was the mentorship aspect, and how it's really important for people to pay attention that they are, or if not are currently, but at least will be a mentor to someone at some point.
Yes.
And
whether they know it or not.
Exactly.
That's the spooky part.
Now, is that a mentor by example?
Yeah. Example, or, someone who's actually, purposefully walking side by side and mentoring someone through something. But I had found, I started really taking inventory of some of the guys that made a big difference in my life. And when I really sat down and looked at it, I was 99% sure that none of them had any idea that they had done that and the impacts that they had had on me. And I made it a priority to track them down and call them and say, look, I think it's important that you know that little thing that you did that day really made a big impact on me.
Yes.
And that's what we find all of the time. In the St. Gregory's program, there's a point of narrative where they're really examining their past and examining that same process of what shaped me. How did I get where I am now? And it comes out so often that one of the big reasons why they ended up in treatment, somehow, somewhere, if it was either second or third party, a lot of times what it is a family will hear something in church, and then all of a sudden have a little bit more fortitude to come back home and start confronting the things that are going on with their loved ones. But that's such an important thing, is we're either, by the way we carry ourselves, by the things that are okay with us, they're either okay for a good reason or okay for bad reason. It's the same thing. We're either enabling someone to justify, see, I'm not that bad, that guy's doing it, no big problem, or we're holding ourselves accountable into a higher level and we're inspiring other people up to ours. And that's the real trick with the whole thing. A lot of times, especially once you get into, okay, how do I start confronting this circumstance, whether it be via an intervention or just talking to someone about their addiction for the first time, more often than not, what people will say up front is, well, I can't do an intervention, because they'll say, well, what about you? You do all the same things I do. Why should I go and get some help? You do that. And
I would kind of agree.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest barriers that keeps a family from really confronting these things anyway, is they don't feel like they're in any righteous position to be able to say anything. And it's not about being perfect. It is about being accountable to what you're doing. And that's the real trick of the whole walk of life, I would say.
Well, and I think we also have to be careful for those people who think they are righteous by fold.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I'm the right guy to do this. I'm the only guy that'll speak the truth to this person.
Absolutely. And that's why if you're not coming at this from a place of love, don't come at this.
Yeah. All right. Joe Meints is our guest. He's a recovery and intervention specialist with St. Gregory's Retreat Center. 1-888-778-5833. That's the number for you to call to get help for someone you love. When we come back, our last key phrase. about how you can stop being an enabler and help this person.
I'm just saying. 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 Ching ching. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, and it's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome back. It is 10 before the top of the hour, which means Salem Radio Network News, and then what's it called? The Bluetooth? No. True Blue with Pastor Michael Mudloff.
Oh, no, I think it's Blue Dog.
No, it's not.
It's not? You sure?
And
True Blue.
that'll be on today at 4:03. Some sad news that is coming out of Central Iowa today. Longtime House Senator Pat Ward has lost her struggle with cancer. She passed away late yesterday. And the Secretary of State has determined there will be a special election held for that seat. So I would imagine, I don't know if that'll be the primary then, and then they'll have to do a general election because they don't have a Republican candidate right now.
Yeah, I don't even know if they could appoint somebody to run.
No.
It would be a primary.
It'd have to be a primary, I would think. But anyway, we'll update you more as time goes on that. But what a sad thing there that is for the Ward family. She succumbed to breast cancer after a short struggle. A lot of times they say after a long struggle, but Pat, boy, it got her and got her quick. So we, for those of us that know Pat, we know where she's at, and she's in a much better place than I. So, Pat, make a place for me up there. Tell Jesus I'm coming. Not soon because I'm working out now, but I'm coming. All right, Father Tattoo in the house, Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, and Joe Mines, a recovery specialist from St. Gregory Retreat Center. This show isn't for the drunk or the drug addict or the person cheating on prescription pills or that person with a mental disorder or a mental illness or an overweight problem, because you don't want to listen to us. You don't want to hear what we have to say. You've heard it all before. You look in the mirror, you know it. You wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and you know it. You look at the sadness on the eyes of your spouse, your siblings, your friends, you know it. But I want to give you a number. And I just want you to tuck this away someplace. 1-888-778-5833. Now, when you dial this number, there isn't a drone that flies over the top of your house and drops a net over it, and then little men in white coats come in and grab you and take you away. This is a number that you can call and just ask. Just ask some questions. do a little research on maybe where you're at in your addiction in your life. Hopefully you don't have to hit a low bottom when the state patrolman or the sheriff or somebody comes up and tells you that you just got clocked at 90 mile an hour and we've done a breathalyzer and you're at 0.25. Hopefully that's not what happens to you. Hopefully you just listen to a show like this, a show that is steeped deep in the love for Jesus Christ. No condemnation here. No judgment here. Just a desire for you to find him in your sobriety, in your addiction with pornography, in your obesity, whatever habit, hurt, or hang up you're suffering from, that number's a place to start. Now, if you're an enabler and you're someone in that family, we've given you a couple phrases. The first one was don't cheat someone out of their pain. If they're doing something bad, don't sugarcoat it. Just say, you're not doing well, and you know it, and I know it, and I want you to hear it. And what was the second one we had last hour, or last session?
Second one is your daily walk either enables or inspires. And it really comes down to, how are you mirroring Christ and his grace to other people? And it's amazing the effect that'll have on somebody looking in from the outside.
And what's the number with it? Third one.
Frankly, Mac, I said a couple, and that means two.
Two.
So you're
Okay.
going to put me on the spot.
No,
I can
that's all
make
right.
one up. But
Does a couple ever mean anything more than two?
I don't think so. My
No.
wife and I go round and round.
I think couple.
A few is always at least three,
Yeah.
but generally three.
Well, if you're a Mormon, a
is
couple
two.
could be 1 + 4 or 5.
That's true, but we're not.
All right. So key phrases is don't cheat someone out of their pain. Your daily walk. Either, what was the first word you used?
Either enables or inspires.
Enables or inspires. I love that. And I'll just throw one in, and you tell me if it doesn't apply or not. If the door opens just a little, meet them where they're at.
You bet.
Don't drag them to. Don't what's an example? Somebody drinks too much. All right, and it's obvious to everybody around they drank. It's the next morning. By the way, that's the other thing I will tell you, especially with an alcoholic or drug addict. Don't try to approach them when they're high or using. They don't have the brain capacity to deal with you reasonably. And reasonably is the operative phrase. But the next morning, when it becomes obvious, meet them where they're at. Now, what do I mean by that? It isn't standing across the other side of the room with your arms crossed, crabbing at them and shaking your finger at them on what a stupid drunk they are. It's going to them, sitting on the bed beside them, rubbing their head, rubbing their back, giving them some aspirin, making them a cup of coffee.
So being an encourager, not a discourager?
Sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody wants to hear how bad their actions are when, in fact, they know their actions are that bad. Are there some people that don't know? I can't imagine.
Not really. I mean, I've throughout the course of interventions, I've run into people who are, who have been using for so long and so heavily, they've got real cognitive dysfunction, and I guess that's something. But I mean, that's really not what we're talking about. People know. I mean, but that's the hard part is. It's scary, and they think it's because of who they are.
Right.
They have no idea a lot of times the reality of this notion of whose they are, which is where all of the hope comes from.
Right.
But like I said, I mean, if you're not helping because of a loving standpoint, don't help, because it's not going to do any good. I mean, it's for someone.
And make sure these people know that if they're hearing a voice in their head that you're a drunk, you're a loser, you're a fool, you're no good, that's not the voice of God. But they probably think it is. They probably think God crawls into my head every single morning when I open my eyes and my hangover begins, and I hear the voice of God telling me, you drunk, you did it again. You drank too much, you ate too much, you watched porn last night. God would never tell you anything other than that he loves you, amazingly. If you want to really find out how much you believe in God, find out how much he believes in you. And it's always encouragement. It's always with love. He's always there to pull you out. You have never done anything so bad, so wrong, that he is not the first to pick you up and carry you home. If you need help, we're always here. It's Recovery Monday with Joe Mines, Bob Montserrat, Father Tattoo, and I'm J. Michael McCoy. And if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. Couldn't do it without you, right here on The View from a Pew on 99.3 KTIA, powered by WebcastOneLive.com. Go pray.